This is my thoughts on the Specialized Rockhopper Sport 2021 that I bought so far, and I wanted to talk about how do I actually feel about the bike since I had it for 1 year so far. So the first thing was the difference between my Noka Havoc to my Specialized Rockhopper Sport. That the Noka Havoc was more of a jump bike, but however I used it as a commuter bike, and because of how small the frame was, my legs couldn't truly extend and I couldn't truly ride it properly, because most of the time my knees was very bent, and I was like, my knees was doing that, it was very bent inwards. And for the long period of time, I've ridden the bike standing up for 9 years. Because when you do trials riding, you used to ride in bikes with no seats, so you were standing up. So when I sat down and rode the bike for like a year, I was like, oh, I'm starting to feel it in my knees. But I didn't really take no notice, and a lady type man said to me, don't make the same mistake I did. You're going to damage your knees like that. And her words stuck in my head for an extra year. And I said, you know what? That woman's right. She's right. She's the only woman that actually stopped me and said something. No one else have never said anything. She's the only one that stopped and said, you know what? You need to upgrade your bike, because that's not good for you. So I upgraded my bike, and when I first got into the bike was so much faster. Of course, the geometry was more larger than I'm usually being on. The wheelbase was longer. The bike was more taller. Or more, I think the tubing is a little bit wider. So I had to get used to it, because when I first rode the bike, I wasn't really used to the actual the geometry of the bike, and my body had to get adjusted to it. So on the first attempt that I did, I tried to go to a place called Romford. So I tried to attempt Romford. So when I attempted it, I said, oh my God, my legs are hurting. Because I used to feel a lot of pain in my legs, because I wasn't used to the geometry of the new bike. And I goes, how's this going to work? So I thought, let me turn around and bring the bike back home. So at first, I only could ride the bike for probably like 4 or 5 hours, and at least the first 2 hours felt okay. But once the extra hours kicked in, the hour, like the third, the fourth hour, I felt a lot of discomfort because I wasn't used to it. So I had to ride the bike every day. It took weeks and weeks and weeks. Maybe it took me probably like a couple of months to say, yeah, I feel okay on it. I feel okay in it. But as time went on, I got used to the bike, and I actually got used to it. So that discomfort I used to feel was no longer there. And for a basic spec for £550 with the stout cranks, is it the Atlas group set 9-speed he had the SR Sontor, is it XCM forks, it had 3622 chainring at the front. However, you can't change it. It's a one-time use crank, so once the crank wears out, you just have to dispose of it. Bottom bracket is square taper. I had all the normal specialized components that came with it. So what I did was, as I was riding the bike like that, the bike felt fast. I like the handling. The handling was good to a certain degree. The bike was light. It was lighter than my Noka Havoc. But however, as I started to upgrade the bike, and I put my Hope Cross Country stem, I put the Spank Spike 800 bars on it, I put the Hope spacers, I put the RockShox Recon. They're the 29-inch Solar Air forks. They're the silver RLs. The moment I put my SRAM NX Eagle, I put the Nukeproof Neutron wheels for now, because when I went to buy the Nukeproof Horizon V2, I think it was the rare wheel that was out of stock. That's the reason why I don't have the Horizon wheel set, or I would have had that instead of the Neutrons. So I say next year summer I will just upgrade to the Horizon V2s, or Hope Fortis 26. And when I upgraded the whole bike, except for my brakes, I haven't done yet. I could do the brakes now, but there's some other things I have to get out of the way before I can actually do that. And as I got to that point, I realized that after going by with a 1x 32 tooth chainring at the front, I got 11 at the back up to 50 tooth, because it's 11 to 50 tooth cassette. The first thing I've noticed, I like the torque power that you get out of it. It's very torquey. You just got a lot of, I just feel like you just have this there's a lot of torque power you have. It's just like the way the bike takes off, the gear ratio, it feels so smooth. Like when you're going through the gears, it's just that it just feels so smooth. You just get this nice light feeling, and the bike it just shoots. I like the spank bars. They are 31.5, and the one thing I do like about it, the cornering on the bike is so much better. The forks are so much lighter, and when you're cycling, you press the brakes and you press the button, you go you get this kind of, you feel the fork literally sucks in, and you feel it compressing in when you're pressing the brakes, and it feels incredible. So I did all that type of stuff. This is the back light I bought for it, and I said yes, this is the light I'm gonna put on it. I bought 2 front lights specifically for that bike, and all I can say so far, the bike feels so much better compared to when I first bought it. Now all I need to do is just get my brakes. Once I get that nice braking feel, I can be like, okay, this is my bike complete. And I don't see myself really adding much to it after I put the brakes, because the brake was only £60, but they dropped down to £40. So if the time I buy the brakes and they're still at £40, I'll just go for the SRAM levels and I'll put them onto the bike. However, if they're going up to 60 and other ones are still 80, I'll go for the 4-piston guide T's over the level T's with 2 pistons. And one thing I have to say is that I'm very happy with the bike. Like, I never thought I would make the bottom cup be red. The top cup you have is in purple. Then you got the spacers in red. You got the stem was in purple. Then other spacers in red. You got the top cap was in purple. Then I put the turquoise pedal to match the turquoise writing on the frame. I just put orange grips because orange grips has gave that bike that kind of fruit twist type of look, and I'm thinking of putting purple grips onto it and changing a few things. And I have to say, I'm extremely happy with the bike. The bike is light. It has this manipulation to it. Well, I like it before it was stock. The way how the bike is just the way how I imagined it. I wanted it to feel. So I'm very happy with the modifications that I've done with it so far. So once I get the brakes onto it, that's the bike project actually completed. And I don't think I'm gonna add anything much until, as I said, next year. I'll just put on the either Horizon V2s, or I'll put on the Hope Fortis 26 front and back wheel, two 29-inch wheels, 15mm for axle at the front, 110mm boost, and I put in the adapters that comes with the wheel was 135 at the rear. And I do stuff like that, and I should be good to go. And yeah, so it was a really exciting project to work on. I didn't expect it to be done so fast. I was expecting the project to take probably like a few years to complete, because I was really the person who does like build as you ride. Okay, let me just put a fork there, ride it for how long, put it thing there. I didn't expect myself to actually rush it the way I did, because normally I used to always be the person where I'd be like, well, I could take 3-4 years to build it, ain't no rush. But for some reason, I don't know what it was, I just kind of like, I don't know, I just didn't feel like I wanted to go that route this time. So I said, okay. So looking at my bike over there, I said, you know what, let me just build up quickly. So the only thing I need to do is just get everything else after. I could do it now, but I just have some other hobbies that I need to kind of invest in at the moment, what's kind of important. So, or if I wanted to, I could buy the brakes now. However, I just don't really need them at this point of time. The brakes can wait. So too tired, just yawning away. And yeah, and all I need to do is a few things, and it shouldn't be that bad. And once I do a few things, I should be okay. So yeah, the bike's been, as I said, really, really good. If I had to make any changes, what would I change? There's nothing I would actually change on it, except for if I was going to change the group set, it would have to be for, let me see, I would rather put the Shimano DR onto my bike, and there's a reason why. Shimano cranks are far more stronger and trustworthy than SRAM cranks, because I've had experience on SRAM cranks, and that's how I chipped my tooth here. As you see, my tooth was chipped. Says here, my tooth was chipped because those cranks, what I had was unreliable. There were the descent, the descent cranks or descendant cranks, and these were meant to be downhill cranks. The first one, the pedal insert ripped out, so I thought, oh yeah, it's defective. So I got myself a second one. Then the actual crank arm in the center of what goes onto the bottom bracket, onto the spline, onto the ISIS bottom bracket, went in half. I hit my teeth came out of my mouth, it slashed my lip, and I smashed my face on the ground, and I was finished. So I've always, after I had that crank, I went for the Shimano Z. Shimano Z is one of their gravity cranks, but one thing I can say about Shimano Z, that crank was always strong, it was reliable, and they have a plastic cap where you can use like a little thin wooden stick or something, anything to turn, even with your fingers. You give it a little tight turn, you do the 2 bolts, crank's done, nothing else. And that's the one thing I liked about it. And once I tightened up the actual cranks, every time I cycled, the cranks never ever gave me issue. It was the one thing on the bike I didn't really wanted to get rid of, but I had no choice to get rid of it. So I had to get rid of my good pair of cranks, so I never wanted to. However, one thing I can definitely say, the Shimano DRXT bottom bracket. It's one of the best Holotech bottom brackets I've ever ridden, and here's why. Through all the weather conditions, the bottom bracket always worked. It was very sealed. There was no grinding noise. There was no creaking in the bottom bracket. It always worked. The one thing I loved about the Shimano Holotech bottom bracket, it worked and it always stayed silent. The only issue I always had with SRAM bottom brackets, you have that little creaking. You ride your bike for like 2 weeks, and after that 2 weeks, the first thing you get is that kind of creak, 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 click, click, click. And sometimes you can ride it out, and then it just came back again tonight. I thought, oh, what, you back again? So I've always preferred Shimano crank set and stuff. However, I've always preferred SRAM's gearing. So if I had to ride a bike, I'd rather have all of SRAM's gearing that I have, but just change the cranks and have put like Shimano DL cranks, because these things weren't in stock. Put the Shimano DL cranks, put the DL bottom bracket on, and I say, yeah, I'm good to go. I wouldn't mind doing that. But the only thing is that we have that SRAM Eagle technology, so the compatibility is going to be a bit off, because you have to run it all together. Because with the SRAM Eagle that I noticed, the tooth on the chainring to the cassettes is designed in a unique way. It's not designed how the normal SRAM cassettes are. They're not designed how the Shimano cassettes are. On a SRAM Eagle, you have the cassette where it goes from thin. It goes from thin like this. It goes thick. As you get to the certain part of the cassette, it goes thin. It goes thick. It goes thin, and it goes thick. So when you're shifting gears, you see there's a part that goes very thin, and the gears just shift so smoothly. And as if you're going to what would it be called? If you're going to downshift or upshift, the way how the tooth is designed, once you hit that thin part, it's just so easy to change gears, because the way how to design the thin, thick, they design it in a way to give you that nice, precise shifting. It's the way they design it for the chain to carry over. So you probably have like 1, 2, 3, probably like 3, 4 tooth where it goes inwards and the 4 comes out. And I noticed, but that's the thing what they did. The reason why it was so excellent for shifting. Even if I shift the gear, all I get is just this, because there's that Eagle technology that they put in there. It's the way how they made the cassette. They made the cassette in a way where it goes thin, thick, thin, thick. They designed it for that nice shifting performance. And so far I have to say, I'm pleased with the SRAM NX. I don't really have any issue with it. Only once in a while that it may play up a bit, but it's not enough for me to say I have to pull my tools out. I think it's just the wear and tear. Like when the actual black paint comes off the cassette, you just have to make sure you keep your stuff nice and lubricated. So when it gets dry, I lubricate. I just leave it overnight, and when I cycle it the next day, it's fine. So I may have to lubricate it maybe tonight, or may lubricate it probably like at least within the next week. I'll lubricate the chain again just to keep everything nice, just to reduce the wear and tear and everything like that. But apart from that, I am very satisfied with my bike build. it's been a pleasure. It's been fun. It's been exciting, and I don't feel I can say anything more than that. And I did what I had to do, and in the future, I will definitely be upgrading maybe I'm gonna be upgrading the lights. Like next year, probably like next year, this time autumn, I'm gonna put on the design 1800s. So I'm gonna put on the brand new lights. So I'm thinking about the 1800s that I want. I'm just gonna get the ultimate version compared to the one I have. Mine was just the 1000 lumen light drive. I'm gonna get the 1800. It's called the Mega Drive. Put that on. Hopefully, they improve the rear light. And if once they improve the rear light, I'll be pretty damn happy once they do that. So the only issue I have with this light, I'll probably make it another video, and I'll just probably discuss it and the reason why they should implement these modes. Yeah, so I'm just gonna have to wrap it up here, and that's me being going on too much. So peace out.